This is David Boji, and today we are going to talk about the problem with entrepreneurial myths. And it's amazing. Now, the source of the myth that I want to talk to you about is entrepreneurship failure rates. Now, one of the sources is the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Don't trust them. They say around 20% of new businesses fail within the first 2 years, approximately 45% failing within the first 5 years, and 65% failing within the first 10 years. Now, the problem with this statistic, as my good friend David Trofimo, professor at New Mexico State University, who's creating a revolution in statistics, tells me, is that averaging that they're doing for the failure rate of entrepreneurs is a whole bunch of different kinds of entrepreneurs, right? And what you really need to do, instead of having a statistic that averages everything, is find out the position of each entrepreneur in the distribution, in the population. And it turns out that there's a whole lot of different reasons that entrepreneurs are failing. And let me sort of give you some of these reasons so that you can unpack that statistic. Because you're probably wanting to be an entrepreneur, be that billionaire like Elon Musk. You know, isn't he going to $1 trillion now? And then Richard Branson, who's created 8 different companies that are each $1 billion companies. And then there's Bill Gates, kind of looks like an MBA wearing a red tie. And anyway, the myth about entrepreneurship failure. Okay, a lot of people are just not satisfying a need. They might want to open up a restaurant in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Well, we already have 50 Tex-Mexican restaurants. So if you're going to open another Mexican restaurant, odds are pretty good you're going to fail. If you're not satisfying a need and you're just going out there with your entrepreneurial coaching thing, but you're not identifying the need, probably going to fail. If you got a bad business playbook, a bad entrepreneur's storytelling playbook, and you're spouting a story, but nobody's listening because you're not a good storyteller, probably going to fail. You got a lack of financing, probably going to fail, yeah. Maybe you fall victim to venture capitalists, VC. I used to call them that in Vietnam. Not a good term, by the way. Felt bad about it. Bad location. If you don't have the right location on the internet or on the city block, you're not going to get the sales to sustain your business. If you're inflexible about your playbook, your business plan, and I'm following my business plan, yes, but nobody's walking in the door. When I started a personnel agency, it was because the other business of selling chemicals by mails to print shops wasn't working. And somebody said, we need a printer. Can you help us? I said, yes, this guy, my partner, he does commercial printing. I'll send him right over. The guy was livid when I sent him out to work, but we needed the money. Anyway, your rapid expansion, too rapid. My dad expanded his business so rapidly that he failed several times. He had $1 million things like trash compactor for industry. Still has it. They still have them. Big money in it. And a whole bunch of patents built on his patent. But he lost his $3 million in the first year. Paid back 2 business partners. They were kind of venture capitalists. That left him $1 million. How do you lose $1 million in a year? Well, let me tell you, I know. I was there. So the Small Business Administration is another one I love. I've taught small business for over 20 years and coached small businesses, coached large ones too. And they say the average entrepreneur has less than a high school diploma. And that's why there's a 90% failure rate. Well, let's back up, okay? Your statistic is kind of bogus because you're averaging together a whole bunch of entrepreneurs, and only about 10% of the companies that venture capitalists invest in generate positive returns. So that 90% statistic is a lot of people without good educations trying to be better, and I applaud that. And it's venture capitalists are going to pull their money out whenever the wind blows a different direction. So I believe that an entrepreneur should hold on to their business. I watched my dad lose his several times, and I've seen mine get ripped away by, just went like that because of a con man. The moral of the story is that you shouldn't believe every statistic you hear, right? On aggregate, it may be correct in a statistical sense, but it might be completely bogus because you're combining a whole lot of different vectors of different kinds of entrepreneurs. Now, these myths are really important to debug, to deconstruct, as we call it. And Robert Smith and myself wrote an article restoring Bill Gates and Richard Branson. We looked at how they restory themselves from these kind of disruptors of an industry. Joseph Schumpeter calls them destroy an industry by going in. The way that, I'll give you an example. Do you remember Blockbusters? Are you that old? We used to go in and get your videos and then check them out and then go back the next day and give it back and get another one. And then Netflix came along and just obliterated, destroyed Blockbusters. That's the kind of venture capitalism, entrepreneurial adventure Bill Gates and Richard Branson were in. And they would destroy the record industry for Richard Branson. Gates destroyed the software industries. Every time I have to reinstall and update my Microsoft Word or my PowerPoint, I'm thinking, Bill Gates, couldn't you have done this a little differently? But anyway, they're restoring themselves into being social entrepreneurs. They're for the betterment of the earth and all of that. And hey, good. Use that. Be generous with your money, right? Bill Gates says the first rule of any technology applied to business is that automation applied to an efficient operation will magnify the efficient. And if you use AI, wow. But he's pretty boring storytelling at storytelling, right? And he's successful anyway. So kind of goes against my own thesis there, David. But Richard Branson on July 11th, 2021, flew the Virgin Galactic VSS Unity. And why did he do it? Because he watched the moon landing when he was a teenager. And he said, I want to relive that experience. I got billions of dollars. Why not? Then there's Elon Musk, SpaceX. His playbook is to reduce the cost of space travel. Now, he hasn't done it yet, but he wants to be on Mars by 2030 or 2050, something like that. And Jeff Bezos, he flew up on the Blue Origin, and his playbook is to make space exploration cheaper by using reusable boosters. Well, okay. Very cool. Now, I've done an analysis of the material storytelling, the image building, the materiality of the stories as they're expressed without words, and the words that Bill Gates and Richard Branson are using. And I'm really happy that Myra J. Hurd's going to drop in on my birthday at our annual conference. You can find out about it at davidboji.com. She does material semiotics. She's, along with Karen Barad, does material discursive, and Donna Haraway does her own kind of approach. And they're trying to reform this kind of disruptive capitalism, destroy it so I can make my own way and have it selfishly for myself and actually do something. But I wanted to say that the entrepreneur storytelling playbooks, I'm studying the 10 greatest storytelling entrepreneurs, or those are considered. I don't consider them the best that have done things for the world. I think Karen Barad and Donna Haraway and Myra J. Hurd, I think they've done a lot for the world. But the ones that get national attention, like Oprah Winfrey, Richard Branson, right? Elon Musk, Stuart Butterfield, Tony H-S-I-E-H. Tony Robbins, I got to see him. He's great. He cured me of my chocolate addiction. He said, by the way, the addiction has come back. He said, imagine that chocolate is a dirty turd you picked up off the ground and you're munching away on it. And it's the most disgusting, it's just terrible smell, and it just taste buds, and you're ready to vomit. Thank you, Tony Robbins, for that great inspirational image. I think I'm going to use it to tame my chocolate addiction. There's Howard Schultz. There's Mark Zuckerberg, right? I want to study these entrepreneurs and separate myth and fantasy, and really try to understand what happens. Branson is now saying that do something healthy for everyone, do something environmentally sustainable. But he's also pushing a kind of storytelling that will cause people to take risks that they don't need to be taking and not to have a good plan. And Richard Branson later in life learned from the collapse of Virgin Cola. That was one of the Virgin things that did not work. The Virgin Cruise worked, the Virgin Airlines, Virgin Music Industry, Virgin Rail, all that worked. But Virgin Cola was not a great concept because he didn't analyze the market, right? And he didn't look at, did the market need one more cola? Was Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola and root beer enough? Squirt, 7-Up, I don't want to leave out your favorite brand, but Virgin Cola didn't work. Now, Richard Branson was born in 1950 in Surrey, England. He struggled with dyslexia, nearly failed out of school, dropped out at 16, started a youth culture magazine, a student, took that magazine, right, to give a voice to the people during the Vietnam War. And thank you for that. Appreciate that. Branson expanded the magazine and turned it into a mail order record company called Virgin, right? And he recruited the Sex Pistols, the Culture Club, the Rolling Stones, right? He turned it in. Virgin Music became a giant in the industry. But then he became frustrated. This is the story goes. And look at how much the story leaves out. But let's just go with the line. He was frustrated flying planes. It was boring. It was stupid. And so he sold his stake in Virgin Music to finance his investment, and that was $800 million to get the Virgin Airline off the ground. So he has a playbook, right? Virgin Hotels, the Nectar Island, right? Virgin Voyages, cruise ships, his giving pledge, the Carbon War Room, where he wants to do something about climate change. Richard Branson, keep in mind, he struggled early on. And not every idea was a great one. Don't forget, January 10th, you can come to our free event. It's going to be on Zoom, and it's about 90 minutes. I've invited some of the best authorities in entrepreneurship and storytelling and that I know in the world that I trust and that are ethical. And you can come and join in that. Just go to davidbogie.com or csistory.com and go there, and I'll give you a free gift. I'll give you a chapter from the wonderful book on business storytelling in entrepreneurship by Duncan Paley. You'll get the introduction of the book. It's a $920 value. See, there I go again. All right. This is David Bogie. I hope you had a wonderful time.